Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
You're listening to 200 Proof Gospel, the podcast. I'm Craig D'Onofrio.
I am Pastor Troy Neer.
I'm pastor too, you know.
Oh, yes. Then I'm Reverend Troy Neer.
I'm a reverend too, you know.
Most reverend? Right reverend.
Right. Is that a bishop? What is that? Right reverend?
I don't know. The titles get really fuzzy at that point.
Most reverend is. We'll have to Google that during the toast or something. Hey, subscribe to this program on iTunes, Spreaker, Podbean, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, you name it. We're there. Get the app for your iOS or Android device. Be sure to like us. We sure want to be liked. We want you to like us.
We need to be liked.
Affirmation. We need a lot of affirmation. You have no idea how fragile Troy is. He's so fragile.
I'm very delicate. I'm actually just trembling a little bit just because you mentioned it.
It's true. You can email us at 200proofgospel@gmail.com. Did I say that already? Well, if I did,
No.
I've said it twice now.
When's the last time you checked that email box, by the way?
Which email box was that again?
That was 200proofgospel@gmail.com.
We'll check that during the toast also. We're going to do a lot during the toast. So
Okay.
Speaking of which, let's get to it. Raise your whatever you got handy. Here we go.
Washing that declares us blameless and pure, that will cause us to stand without shame on that day. Amen.
Cheers.
Clink.
Oh, wait, we got a sip here.
Oh, we should, yes, actually take that drink.
I'm banging everything with my big metal cup here. It's all out of control.
Whew.
That just sounds really reverby to me for some reason.
I hear no reverb. Like right now?
To that washing that declares us blameless
Wait, we're doing the
and pure,
toast again.
that will cause us to stand without shame on that day. Amen.
Hang on, let me try turning this down. Let's see if this does anything.
Just going to keep toasting here.
To that washing that declares us
it's all the
blameless
same.
and pure, that will cause
Oh,
us
it's
to
way
stand
faded
without
now.
shame on that day. Amen.
That's just in your headphones because I'm messing with all these subs.
Okay, so we are starting this program over at this point, right?
No, why would we do
Just
that?
gonna keep rolling.
Yeah.
Roll.
Apparently that
Okay.
reverb's been there all along, and I just never noticed it until
Okay.
the last program. And
Well,
now
an
all of a
audio-
sudden I'm kind of obsessed with it.
An audiophile such as yourself, I'm surprised it didn't
Some sort of
manifest
file, I
itself.
guess. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So last time we talked about Neb the Knezer, and his repenting after God made him bark like a dog for 7 years, which I'm sure was good fun. But still, I mean, you got the king out back, you got him tied out. Maybe he had a little run that they put him on, collar and cable and.
Don't really know.
Yeah, so you got the king out there barking and howling and carrying on and becoming doggish for 7 years. And then he discovers that, maybe God didn't really like my behavior so much, and he comes to his senses, and he is restored. That's an interesting thought right there, that he's restored.
Yes.
I don't know as we really delved into his restoration that not only does he come back to his senses, but he is put back into his seat of authority.
And actually, more is added to him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he says there, that more greatness was added to me. You know, you translated Job once. It's a rather Job-ish story arc,
I still
isn't it?
wake up in fetal position crying from translating Job 25 years ago. So,
but you know that's the that's the sort of narrative arc of Job as well, too, right? He is humbled, but then when God restores him, he brings even more to him.
yeah, but unlike Job, Nebuchadnezzar seemed to actually be a jerk. Whereas Job
Yes.
didn't seem to be a jerk.
Oh yeah, that's the thing
So
that starts the whole
there's
bit
that.
there. Nebuchadnezzar. Oh wait, I found this out. So, so they have this brick that they found from doing archaeological digs around old Babylon, right?
Okay.
The inscription on the brick is Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, right? Okay.
Played fetch with this brick while he was crazy? Like that?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
You
that
know,
would be really cool if they found something like that.
You know how many bricks they found that were inscribed with his name?
No idea.
Like 15,000.
Oh,
Yes.
well.
So basically, like, just go around your church with a little Post-it saying, that, and write mine and stick it on everything. Mine.
Boy, we thought we needed a lot of affirmation with some likes. That's well, they just had a stamp, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
every brick built his castle basically has this stamp. Yep, Nebuchadnezzar's castle.
That's actually very creepy. That's just that's messed up.
Well, and that's why he walks around at the beginning of chapter 4. Is this not great Babylon, the city that I have built for myself?
I can't look anywhere without seeing my own name. It's amazing.
Wouldn't that be great? Well, let's see. Who built this city anyway? Oh, look at that.
Let's see here. Yeah, so
I thought they built the city on rock and roll, but
we built this. We're in Cleveland. This city's rebuilt on rock and roll.
this indeed, yes.
Yeah. It was originally built out of rust, but then it was rebuilt on rock and roll. Or something like that.
It's the birthplace of rock and roll.
Really?
Totally.
Elvis was here.
No. No, there's a whole story there. You have to Google it and look it up. That's why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is here.
Who was the Adam of rock and roll? That's kind of a good question.
Not ATOM.
ADAM.
AD.
Yeah. Who invented rock and roll?
Wasn't it Bill Haley and his Comets?
I don't know.
That's the first one that typically is ascribed.
Being a recovering rock star myself, I should know these things.
Well, yeah, but are you a rock star historian?
In my own mind, I am.
Okay.
I'm a rock star, and that's what really counts. Is
Well, I would say now
since all truth is now subjective, we have the truth in my head, which is
the genesis of rock, I think, can be traced back to Delta blues, as a matter of fact. And it's interesting that scholarly commentators have just, I don't know, I got nothing.
If you consider it, you go back and you look at like Louis Prima in the 40s, he was kind of a protogenitor or whatever of...
I think it's just progenitor.
Progenitor, thank you. I knew that didn't sound right. Progenitor of what became a rock and roll sound, but you are right about the blues being heavily influential in... the lives of Elvis and others. And so anyway, Nebuchadnezzar being a rock star.
Speaking of blues, what? He's got the blues.
Nebi and the Knezzars was the name of his band.
Yes, and he's got the blues because he's gone insane and he's been an animal for 7 years. Yes.
And he has rocks with his name all over him. So
and he does,
bricks,
indeed.
close enough, right.
Yeah.
Where were we going with this? I have no idea.
I know. We were still talking about Nebuchadnezzar's faith.
Yes.
That sort of shadowy uncertainty we have regarding his confession of faith, whether or not it is true faith. And then we were getting...
Now, you pointed out during the break that the Book of Concord, that being the Lutheran confessions of faith...
Yes, indeed they are.
...indicate that old Nebi did have... Does it say saving faith?
Oh, boy. Let's see.
Where did you say that was? In the Apology of the Augsburg
Yeah, would you like to read it?
No, because I'm blind. And my bifocals are over here.
Oh, shoot. So let me get this other book that I've got here. There. I've got actually a microphone now. Hold on. I think I'm speaking to the right side, aren't I?
You're not supposed to have that much dead air on recordings. So what you do is you mumble senselessly while you do things.
Kind of like what we're doing right. This whole show is just mumbling. We're like 10 minutes in, and we haven't...
I have 9 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay, so the point is, in the Apology, Article 5, parentheses, Article 3, faith and fulfilling the... love and fulfilling the law. It says, faith is required also in the sermon of Daniel. For Daniel did not mean that the king should only give alms.
Holy cow.
Wow. He includes repentance.
Someone did
when
not
he says,
set his computer to silence here.
To silence. Okay, thank you. So,
sorry.
Anyway, let's see. So we're requiring faith and not just good works of Nebuchadnezzar. And I've lost it. I can't find it.
Ay, ay, ay.
Oh, yeah. For we have the excellent confession of the king about the God of Israel. There is no other God who is able to rescue in this way. All right. And
Okay.
That's what it says about Nebuchadnezzar.
All right. So
Yes.
it indicates that he had saving faith.
He has faith.
Okay.
Well,
So-
okay, and that's kind of the point too. The point of the discussion in that part of the Book of Concord is that we must have faith, and not merely just works, but also faith.
All right. Well, I just preached on James.
Wow,
And
really?
James makes it clear that faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
Mental illness.
Okay.
I didn't take my meds, so I preached on James.
Gosh, I preach on the gospel. I don't know, but okay.
Yeah. And so the church took me to the hospital, and I spent a couple of days there after preaching James.
Yeah, but aren't you kind of an antinomian? I mean,
I'm a soft antinomian, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
But you still preach on James.
Well,
Or you're trying to recover from soft antinomianism?
no, because I made James into an antinomian in my sermon. So
Really?
That
Yeah. Did you do like what I do? Faith without works is dead. So if you have no works, you better first check your faith.
well, there's that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
actually, understanding that if you do believe God will have his way with you, and
Yes.
he will create the good works within you.
Okay.
Hey, that whole Ephesians 2:10 thing,
Yes.
that you are saved unto the good works prepared beforehand for you to do. How did I get there? Where did we, before I randomly went off into being
we're talking about faith
committed.
and works in the
Yes,
apology.
yes, that's right.
Nebuchadnezzar, and still my ongoing uncertainty about the state of Nebuchadnezzar's faith.
Right.
Yes.
So he who believes and is baptized will be saved. I pulled this one out on you
all right,
earlier today.
let's get there. Yeah.
Right? So, holy cow. So we believe, and if we are not baptized and yet we still believe, are we not saved? I mean, not that we have rejected baptism, but we just haven't had a chance to be baptized, and then all of a sudden we fall over dead.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that thing right there.
Let's do that.
So first off, New Testament has an assumption, a presupposition of baptism, right?
Okay.
That it just kind of assumes that every believer will be baptized.
Yes.
And I think we could also go in that in the New Testament that it also makes the assumption that every baptized is a believer.
Well, since we believe that baptism gives faith,
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yeah. So the great presupposition of the New Testament that is to be a believer is to be baptized, and to be baptized is to be a believer.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. So
But then there are those who are baptized who stop believing. Or
in the New Testament?
who read. Well, I don't know about in the New Testament, but in
okay.
life,
Okay, yeah, but
there are those who reject their baptisms.
my point is, first I want to go with the solid thing.
Okay.
The expectation, the presupposition,
Right.
before we start delving into the hypotheticals, or the exceptions.
That was the name of my first band, were the Hypotheticals.
I love it, actually.
Yes, that's right.
I think you're lying to me, but I still love
Just
it.
made it up.
And
just
I'm
now.
I'm going to believe it, actually, because it's that good.
All right.
Okay, so but that's right. I mean, New Testament, to be a believer is to be baptized is to be a believer.
Yes.
One and the same.
Right.
One and the same.
Yes.
You might be a believer who needs more catechesis.
There's that.
In some cases, yes, but you're a believer.
Well, this also goes to, as I said last program, God provides everything which he demands of you.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Yeah.
he provides the belief for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
does so through your baptism.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we can certainly see examples of people who reject the faith,
Right.
presumably after baptism. Because
Well, if they've been baptized, we would. Yeah.
we'd have that assumption. Where am I going with this now?
I don't know. That
I
basically you were going with the concreteness of the gift given through baptism.
And just make that the presupposition.
So
right?
you can objectively say you have been baptized, ergo God has given you his grace, his faith, and his mercy, and you simply are given this.
You are given this
fact.
You are now named as God's own child.
Fact.
Boom.
Concrete.
Concrete.
Fact.
In
You can
concreto.
take that to the bank.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then we have also other means of grace that are concrete, like this is my body given for you.
Yes.
And my blood shed for you for the forgiveness of your sins. And when you receive it in your hand and in your mouth, it is clearly for you. And so there is that concrete nature there in the sacrament as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And God is working through those.
Yes, absolutely.
And yet, well, as we would confess, that it's not the work itself that does it, but it is the faith which receives the benefit of the work.
Right. So the 50-cent term is ex opere operato.
Ooh, wait, hold on.
As you well know.
Do you
because
take debit cards? I don't have 50 cents on me.
I do. Out in my car. I've got the card reader.
Okay, cool. All right.
That being the very doing of the thing, right? So just simply the fact that you go through the motions doesn't necessarily make it of effect. Right? You can play communion on the stage, and it doesn't make it communion. It's not received in faith.
Well, yeah, okay.
Right?
Well, let's not go to the stage. Let's go to church first, right?
Okay.
And so, for instance, in the church, you have an otherwise faithful, pious believer who truly believes that God has done all these things for him and or her, and then that one day they're just spacing off. They've got a lot on their mind, and they're not really paying attention to what's happening in communion. They still get the stuff, right? Because it's not their faith which kicks it in. It's the fact that God is doing these things.
Okay, well, we need to talk about what is faith when you talk about this.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we work faith in a way that it's something that I do. I'm faithing right now. It's like I'm believing, and because I have so much faith, I have so much faith that I'm saved because of my faith instead of the faith that is given me. Yeah, you get what I'm saying here?
I'm still stuck on faithing as a verb.
I'm faithing, yes.
Man, I'm faithing so hard.
You should make a bumper sticker.
But yes, I totally get you, right? That faith is our choice, our decision. That's the way we tend to process it. That we tend to picture it, imagine it, phrase it.
Right. So it's something that I participate in. It's something that I'm doing instead of it being a gift from God that he provides for me and that he instills in me. Right?
Yes.
So it runs along the same lines as life itself. I didn't give myself life. I don't.
Right.
There are some people who are unfortunate enough to have something broken in their brains where they have to actually think to breathe. But in general, I just breathe and my heart just beats and I don't will it to happen. It just happens.
Right.
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 So is the same with faith, that God provides faith for you. He creates it in you. He instills it in you. It's not like you were doing it. Now there's fruit of faith.
There is.
That's a different thing. And that's good works that God has prepared. But he's the one who does those also.
He works the good works in and through you.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So you are simply a tool in the hands of the master.
Well, and while we're there, there's also the confession of faith, right? In which I speak forth the words of my faith, what I say I believe. And there's also those times when we do rightly talk about an active sort of faith in which life is horrible right now, but still I am trusting in God because that faith has been taught to look for God in all that is good.
How are you faithing today, Troy?
Me right now?
You faithing pretty well?
Yeah, I'm faithing really good.
That goes right along with how's your walk? How's your walk? My walk is terrible. I'm basically kicking and screaming, and God's dragging me by my feet. So yes, the point is God provides that which He requires here, and He provides the faith, and yet we do things constantly that contradict our own faith. We call that sin.
We do indeed,
and so we live in a state where there's that new person in us that delights in what God has done for us and delights in Him and His will. And then there's the old sinful self that says, but isn't it fun with the other stuff? And so we struggle.
We need a really cool catchphrase for like that. Like we're simultaneously sinner and good person.
Oh, I like it. I think you're onto something.
It's really close.
What if we did saint instead of good person?
So we're saint sinner? What are you saying?
I don't like sinner. Bad guy. Saint and bad guy.
We're simultaneously saints and people who make poor choices.
Ooh, yes.
Yes.
Because
it still lacks a ring there.
Yeah.
We'll work on it.
That's since we've gone on a tangent, which is what we do. John Wesley, with his invention of Methodism, he believed that you had to stop sinning completely. You had to become completely sanctified to be saved. And someone asked him, so you no longer sin? He says, no, I don't sin. I make errors in judgment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means you just redefined sin.
Yeah.
You're kind of a dummy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's like me saying, my wife and I no longer argue. We do, however, have periods of intense fellowship.
Or... Yeah, intense disagreement, but we don't argue.
So faith is Faith is passive.
Yes.
It is also active.
Well, it's given passively and actively exercised, I guess.
Ooh.
As I'm probably running afoul of something nasty just now.
Yeah. Okay. No, but faith is. It is a living thing. And so, totally passive righteousness, but it is given passively. Right. I like actively exercised.
Yeah, and so, in given to talk about all of this, I think the question comes up about sanctification. I brought that up just now, that being made holy, being set apart for holy use, this sort of thing.
Yes.
And in our baptism... we are sanctified, we are holy, we are declared righteous by God, and so by gum we are. And yet we are being made holy and righteousness through the trials and temptations of this life.
Yes.
And the exercising of that faith.
Okay.
So we are sanctified, and yet we are being sanctified at the same time.
Well, okay. Yes, I agree.
And so this is where we come into these little paradoxical things where to be a Christian means that we live in the tension of these things where it's like, are you sanctified? Yes. Are you being sanctified? Yes.
Yes.
And which one is it? Both.
Okay. And there you go, though, because that tension, that paradox arrives at the thing that I really do like to emphasize, especially lately. It's been a lot on my mind. Is when we live in that tension with that paradox and we're always uncertain, okay, am I really a believer or not? God has given us these concrete things, these physical things that we can go back and we can hang our hat on and we can say, yeah, God has done this for me. I've got proof. Water hit my head. Wine hit my tongue.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really important because I think everyone is a touch bipolar. We all run hot and cold.
I see.
There's a touch of mountaintop experience and then the lows that follow. And there's a cycle in our lives, that I I don't feel like God loves me today. I just, I'm not feeling the joy down in my heart at all. Down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart to stay. And
Yeah.
on the days where I just feel like stabbing that guy in the eye who just cut me off on the highway or whatever, I can look at my baptism and say, it doesn't matter if I feel forgiven today. It doesn't matter if I feel like a saint today. God has declared me to be one, and so I am. And my feelings don't really count for a whole hill of beans here. My feelings will betray me. But that fact,
they will. But
I
that
can point to that fact.
Yes, exactly. And not even. I mean, you talked about the guy who cuts you off, and that was just a spur of the moment example. But
no, because I've got road rage.
I think
I should probably get in therapy for that.
Yeah, we'll work on that in the next episode.
Maybe I'll confess my sins.
You've
got the hymnal right there. Let's do confession and absolution. We can go through that.
You get that out.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway,
so but I think any pastor that's going to be honest about it, and in this case, I'm speaking somewhat autobiographically, as a matter of fact.
Well, you could be talking about me biographically.
But any pastor who's worth their salt has gone through a long, dry, dark period.
Yes.
To where there is that intensely long, intensely dry, that desert wandering to where we say, I don't really even know if I'm in or not. And yet I'm still preaching every Sunday, right? And there is that moment where it's beautiful to be able to say, I am so uncertain about so many things, but I do know what God has given me in baptism. I do know what God gives me in the Lord's Supper, because I've got a physical thing I can hang that on, I can pin that on, and then I have a physical reminder weekly in the case of communion that God does love me. And it's a marvelous thing.
This is one of those beautiful things when we find the elderly who are losing their minds. They're suffering dementia and they're losing their faculties. And every now and then you come across one who has their baptismal certificate framed on the wall, and they can point to that and they say, June 18th, 1938, I was baptized.
Yeah.
And I might not know what I had for breakfast, but I know one thing. I was baptized.
There is that. It's that proof right there.
And I'm angry because I don't have a certificate like that, because the church where I was baptized didn't keep any records.
Really?
Now I'm upset with that.
Okay.
Let's make me a baptismal certificate and just pick a date.
We can do that. But you also remember for yourself the day of your baptism.
I do.
You do.
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah, you were totally there. Yeah,
well,
I was there at mine too, but I was just too young to know.
Yeah, I was in my 20s, so I remember that. But what happens? I'm slipping. My brain is gone. I mean, it's shot.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that actually. And
maybe I get a crayon and just make a baptismal certificate.
Yeah. Well, let's do that. And it says, "I am baptized." Right?
Since I don't have, maybe I'll just get a tattoo. That way I can remind myself.
Okay.
I am baptized.
You got to get it someplace you can see.
Yeah, probably my butt wouldn't be a good place for that.
Yeah,
then.
probably not. Weird.
It'd be a really weird place to put it anyway, but still.
Very weird. Thanks for bringing that
really
up.
hard to see.
Yeah, so the point is, though, is that God gives these things in concrete fashion.
Backside of my elbow.
Yeah, for our benefit. For our benefit,
yes.
And it's not a magical work that poof, it just happens, but it is something that actually fosters, creates, and nurtures faith.
Received in faith.
Yes.
So, Troy, the little 8-day-old baby,
yeah,
can't exercise their faith. They how do they show their faith? They just cry and poop their pants and
there you
cry
go.
some more and
Yeah,
eat and cry and giggle every now and then.
Sure. Yes. And your point is?
I don't know. I'm just playing the evangelical.
And do they have saving faith?
Apparently so.
Yeah, because in that case, as we've already agreed upon, that faith is passive and given, And it's a type of radical dependence upon God that looks to him for all that is good.
All right. Well, we've kind of wandered all sorts of places on this half an hour.
Yeah.
But I think we've said a few things of value.
Oh, one or two.
And perhaps divulged way more than we should. At least me. Which is nothing new.
So just for our listeners.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. How do we put a bow on this?
How do we put a bow on this?
Yeah.
I guess for me it's a law gospel sort of thing, right? That if and when a parishioner comes to me and says, Pastor, I just don't feel forgiven, I can make an absolute declaration to them. Okay, when was the last time you received the Lord's Supper? This past Sunday. You were forgiven then.
Right.
I can hang that gospel hook right there because of what God promises to do through that. Now, might there still be some sins in their life that they need to deal with? Absolutely. But the fact is that there's that sort of gospel thing going on that we can always look to because it stands there as a physical reality. The gospel in concreto.
I like it.
That's another phrase I got to work on. But
let's get a tattoo of that too.
Okay.
We get a tattoo of my baptismal certificate.
Okay.
The gospel in concreto. the objective truth, and this is something that we lack too much in our world today, because everything is subjective. Your gender is now subjective and fluid, and you can be whatever you want to be today. One of 62 at last count.
Really?
Yeah. So, it doesn't matter what you were born as or anything.
I identify as the color blue.
I identify as Hogan. We'll see you next time. Subscribe to the program. We'll see you.